Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Take the Leap. Hello, Ashlan. How are you this week?
Doing great. It is honestly way too cold though, and I cannot wait. I say that, and I'm in a tank top.
I was just going to say that.
That's because I'm allowed to set the heat to 70 in this house. But when I have to leave it and go outside, I don't appreciate the wet, the rain, and the cold.
You know what's so funny is that my husband and I, so we're opposites. Like, I get hot really easily, and he gets cold really easily. And so, though we try, and he sets the thermometer so that we're not, getting too hot or too cold, and it helps with our bill and stuff like that. But even so, if he's cold, he'll be like, okay, I want to turn this up. And I'm like, don't you dare touch that thermometer. If it gets too hot, I'm never cooling down.
No, totally. Yeah.
So I keep our house a little bit on the colder side because in my mind, I'm like, well, you can just use blankets. It's fine.
Yeah, you can always put on more clothes. And this is how you know that we are from Hawaii is that my dad keeps this house at a roasty toasty 70. And then I think my in-laws keep the house at 6, or I think they have bumped it up to 68 for me, but it used to be at 64 or 65, and I'd be like, I'm freezing and there's no amount of clothes that I can put on that remedy this.
Yeah, we keep ours at 69, and I'm gonna let you guess who chose that number.
No, the husband.
And why?
Yeah.
We're real mature in this house.
Yeah. I love it.
So anyway, welcome back to this week's episode. What we're going to talk about today, I really loved the conversation that we had with Elizabeth. That was the last episode that we published. So if you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend you checking it out because we talked all about building community and also parenthood and business and life. And it was just a really good conversation. Elizabeth has been on the podcast twice now. We love talking to her. And this time we really focused on that theme that just keeps coming up for you and me, which is on community and building community and why we think that's such an important piece right now. And honestly, there's 1,000 different directions I could go in with this conversation of why we need to focus on community this year. But I think we did a lot of that in the episode, but really, I mean, we just came off of a really rough year, I think, for a lot of people. I think even if you had a good year, I think it was you probably felt it to a degree, right? And then we're going into 2025 with a lot of uncertainty on what's going to happen next. There's a lot of changes coming up, a lot of transitions like we just talked about in the last episode. And I think to get through that, people really need community.
You are totally right. Building community is super important. We just came off of a heavy duty election year, and it was really interesting because between being back here in Oregon again, I went back down to Vegas and was chatting with a friend over there. And, I was asking her, I was like, oh, what was it like? Nevada is a swing state, and whatnot. And she's like, honestly, didn't come up, like didn't really feel, it wasn't like the topic of conversation. And she felt that it was like there's such a diverse community in Nevada, and like if you have never been to Vegas, it is not just the strip of casinos, but there are kind of little communities, and they call them master planned communities. So like you have your housing developments, and then you have basically like community centers and outdoor parks and things. So like there's a big soccer complex in the area that we're living in, and then there's like another big outdoor soccer complex like in the
Wow.
next community over. So like things are kind of built in that way. And you have grocery shopping like super close by. Like I can drive less than like 2 minutes to a major grocery store and do, the majority of my grocery shopping there. And I think we have like 3 Costco's within like 15 miles of us,
That's incredible.
which is incredible. Yeah. So I'm
Oregon has
like,
like 3 in the entire state.
yeah, yeah. Which is just so wild. But yeah, so like the point being that like knowing your neighbors and knowing who's around you and kind of building that group and curating that group, right? And like we have said this before, like I left the state, but I have seen you more in the last like 6 months than we probably did in the previous, 3 years of being out of COVID, because it is, having community. It's not just like hanging out with people. It's not just networking, but it's being really intentional about it.
Huge. Yeah.
And having that around you, and really selecting who you bring in to that space with you. And so, yeah, that's really important. Or I remember one of the things from Elizabeth's conversation is like, if shit goes down and we do get into like a climate change apocalypse, like knowing your neighbors and who has what skills is going to be far
Right?
more important than not. Or I've noticed it here too. Like I'm house/dog sitting for my dad right now, and like somebody in the neighborhood like brought his trash bins like up on the side, and I was like, oh, I was totally gonna do that afterwards. But like just even like that little bit of like caring for who's nearby you, and like knowing who is. And
Knowing who, yeah.
yeah. And I feel like COVID like put us all in like a huge divide and a lot of isolation. So like as we kind of come out in this kind of post-pandemic world, it's like we have to learn how to like one, socialize with people again, and two, like build those relationships that will hold us whole moving forward.
Absolutely. And you make a really good point too, in that there's community for different purposes and different reasons. Like
Mhm.
you should have a community around you of people that you trust if something goes wrong, or who are close by, for that purpose. And then you should also really curate your community to be full of people who have same or similar values as you, who help challenge you and help you step out of your comfort zone. If you're an entrepreneur, you should really have entrepreneurs in your community, which we're going to talk about again later. If you are a parent, you should really have other parents in that community as well, because as we go through life and as we go through life transitions, I think one of the biggest things that we have to try and unlearn is that we aren't meant to do this alone.
Yeah.
We aren't meant to do life alone. We aren't meant to go through every single circumstance alone. And so how can you bring people into your circle that are going to really help enrich all of the things that are important to you in life? And then also, how are you going to bring in people that you can be part of their world too? Because that's what life is about, is, making those friendships and giving and receiving, not just receiving, but giving, I guess is what I meant to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Building
yeah.
social capital. It's such like a clinical slash like academic term, but like the people that you really help you in the world. I mean,
Right.
that's it's very important. And we are not
Yeah.
meant to be in isolation. Like if you look at nature, right? Animals, like anytime the one gets separated from the pack, it's either like they're sick or, whatever, or like, uh, I'm hearkening back to like what I used to watch National Geographic all the time. And they'd have
Right.
like the wildebeest and the crocodiles. And you're like seeing like the one wildebeest that has like fallen behind in the river. And you're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, he's going to get eaten.
Yeah.
By the crocodile or whatever. So yeah, by the same token, we as humans are not meant to be in existence in isolation. And I will just call it out: capitalism and competition make us feel like we, have to be competitive with others. And the truth is, you don't. And like, I'm huge into the idea of like barter and trade, and like, we can make we can make a mean team if we can get together all our different skills that we're good at, and help each
Exactly.
other through it as well.
Exactly. Because especially in the business world, I really truly believe that there's enough business for all of us and that we each bring our own unique skills and um, values and mindsets to each project. And so just because a client is within my target audience, there's a good chance that you might be a better fit for them because of your experience or because of, this and that. And then if I'm like, hey, you know what, I think you should work with my friend Ashlan over here because I think she's a better fit, then that opens me up to work with someone else who is a better fit for
Right.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the mindset shift that I think um we might start to see soon. I think we're starting to see that in a lot of like women owned business spaces in
Mm-hmm.
particular. But I do think just kind of our culture and community as a whole, I do think we're still a little bit far off from that because we do value capitalism and
Mm-hmm.
um you know, but anyway, yes, absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with that statement. Community is so important. And I think that's why it's something that you and I are focusing on this year
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And y'all are going to hear about it a lot more. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. We're gonna keep bringing it up. Don't worry. We won't let you forget about it. And kind of in that same vein on community building and all of that, it kind of also went into a big conversation on work-life balance. And you and I have kind of two different takes on this. I kind of took it the parenthood route because,
mm-hmm.
um, somebody, like, I think I said this in the last solo episode that we did, but I work from home and I also don't really have um consistent childcare, I should say. And because of that, I'm basically a stay-at-home mom and a work from home, or a working mom and a
Mm-hmm.
working. Okay, I'm going to start that again.
Yes.
I am essentially both a stay-at-home mom and a working mom, and it's a little bit ridiculous, like when you think of it that way, because it's insane. It's not logical. It's
No.
not possible, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very temporary time frame of my life, so and that's how I'm kind of getting through it. But the work-life balance is really, really difficult, and it's not fully there. And I think having a conversation around that in parenthood was really helpful. Talking to Elizabeth, because I remember one thing from that episode was she was like, there was a period of my life where I wasn't working as much. And
Mm-hmm.
now he's in school and I'm able to do this. And so it was kind of really helpful for me to kind of have that perspective.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think work-life balance is just such a trendy phrase, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, that companies like to throw out there. Like, oh, our culture's so great. We have really great work-life balance. And I think people don't actually fully comprehend what work-life balance is or what that
Mm-hmm.
means or how that
Mm-hmm.
applies to them and their life. And I think at the end of the day, we're all humans and we all have different needs and wants and desires. And so, yeah, I think it's just really important. I think your work-life balance is a
Oh
lot
my
different
gosh,
too.
it's so different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually reminding me there was, I don't know if it was an article or something that I was reading, or maybe just talking to somebody about like actually not calling it work life balance, because that means like something is like something is out of balance, right?
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
thinking about it more like work life harmony, like how can we be happy
Oh,
in both
yeah.
worlds? And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But yeah, so I guess for my take on work life balance, I have been traveling a lot between these two locations, between Vegas and Portland, for, like, I'll say it out loud again. I am dog sitting, house sitting for my dad right now. He retired and is on vacation, and I'm really happy for him. But that also meant that I had to drag myself all the way back to Oregon, after only being in Vegas for like a month, basically. And then I also have planned time off for my agency. So we take, it just kind of depends on where the Christmas holiday lands, but basically like that last week of the year we have off. And then we kind of took this first week of 2025 off. I've been working a little bit, but my team has been off mostly so I could get my head together and be like, okay, what do I want them to do? Like, I'm adjusting back to life for these 2 days. What do I want them, to be doing, and whatnot when they come back. So I think one important thing is like boundary setting, because I think, I did get like some emails and information out. A client was like, oh my God, you had to work so hard, to get all these fundraising emails out. And I was like, actually, board members wrote like, I will give a huge shout out to our board. They wrote like letters of why people should give to the organization. Tori, you graciously like donated a coupon to the organization. So I was like, basically all I had to do was drop people's letters into our email marketing program and like update the fundraising goal. So
That's
it
perfect.
was all set up. Like, basically I set them up before I went on break, and like, in less than 15 minutes a day, I just had to like update a dollar amount. But that client didn't ask for anything in addition. I had many clients who like respected the time off. So if you do hit that, or if you do, state that boundary, say, hey, we also closed during the summer, last week of June, as well. And just, setting those boundaries and being transparent about it, and saying it's to, prioritize rest, it's to recharge. I think, when you can do that and say that to folks, they respect it a lot more, as well. And,
Absolutely.
in future times, hopefully I'm not using parts of that to like drive away from my home, or being able to take like a true vacation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because you need that rest as well, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Mm,
I slept so much like that for like that first week we were off in December.
I
It was
bet.
great. It was awesome.
Rest is good. Rest helps you be more creative.
It is very true. Yeah.
Mhm. Helps
Yeah.
you do better business. So,
Mhm.
well, I love that. Yeah, and I love that conversation we had. I really feel like that's just really important this year. And just kind of bringing that back to community, I think it's really easy to say, like, we need to build community, we need to get to know people, but, like, that could cause burnout as well,
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
being able to build community with that mindset of making sure you're also still setting boundaries and resting and taking care of yourself first is also very important. Your cup also needs to be full when you're giving to other people and you're, you know, building community with them. So, really important.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to transition to our new fun segment at the end of our episodes that we like to do. Ashlyn, for this week, what is one win and one thing you could have done better?
So a major win for me was that I actually have started blocking time to work on stuff during my week, so that my time does not get absorbed by meetings, because I will completely basically have like a back-to-back meeting day and be like, okay, it's 4 o'clock now, and I will work on that project, or I'll try to get it like done in the morning before meetings start. So that is something that I am committing to for 2025, is to basically work more during the work hours as well. And then one thing that I could have done better is just more movement and exercise. So one thing that I am going to try to do to kind of protect my time is using that time in the morning that I would normally be doing work to work out, do some journaling, pick up the morning pages again, because I noticed that when I did that previously, I had more creative and more fulfilling days when I was able to like brain dump the gunk out of my head that was, just taking up cognitive space, when you're like, oh God, I haven't done laundry, or, wow, I really should. Actually, one thing that's on the top of my mind right now is like, I really should go get the title for my car switched over now that I've paid it off. Little things like that that eat into our mental space and
Yeah,
capacity. I want to do better at clearing the gunk in the morning,
I
and
like
getting
that.
some solid movement in at the beginning of the day.
That's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. What about you, Tori? What's your win?
Yeah. Yes. So my win, so like I told you, we we were shifting our regular childcare this year. So um the schedule changed this week. It was my first full week of no childcare, but working the whole week. So my win is that I got through that. And also, I actually checked off a lot of the items on my list, on my to-do list this week. So I feel pretty good about that. The thing I could work on though is that because it was our first big schedule change this week, um I was a bit overwhelmed and I made it my husband's problem.
Oh no.
So the thing I'm going to work on is trying to be a little less overwhelmed, knowing that, I can only do what I can do in a week.
Mhm.
And, kind of like some of the previous conversations we've had about juggling a lot of plates, a lot of balls. And sometimes I'm going to be good at something and not good at another thing. And I'm going to figure it out. So, anyway, long story short, I'm going to be better at not being as overwhelmed. And if I am overwhelmed, trying to not make it everybody else's problem, because that's not helpful to my family. Poor Justin. We love him.
Yeah, yeah. He loves you. I can
Yes,
tell in his actions.
he is a wonderful husband, partner. Don't know what I'd do
Mhm.
without him.
Yes.
And I know he doesn't fully listen to our episodes, but I do know that he watches us on YouTube while he's working,
Nice.
because he really wants us to get those views. So, Justin, if you do listen, I love you and thank you.
Yes. We love you, our in-house tech support human.
Yes. Amazing, amazing. Well, kind of along that same community vibe, I really want to make sure we shout out the community that we are building. And that is our course. If you haven't heard of it yet, Take the Leap is a podcast, it's a course, and it's a community. And so, with access to our course, you get access to the community. And we've really focused on building up that community this year. So, what does that look like? Well, first of all, if you're an entrepreneur, we kind of talked about this earlier. You really want to make sure that you have entrepreneur friends or that you surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, because it is really hard to do this alone. And that's why we think it's really important to have that space where you can talk to other entrepreneurs and get ideas and collaborate instead of looking at everybody as your competition. And so we have a Discord channel that we are going to be using for that purpose. We really want to connect everybody. We're going to be having co-working sessions. And the other thing is that we're offering this year is access to coaching with both Ashlan and I, because we really, really want you to be successful. And I really think that this year, especially, the key to that is going to be making sure you build your community. And so if you haven't heard of it yet, please go check it out. And it's on our website. So if you have any questions, shoot us a DM, or you can email us at aloha@taketheleap-today.com.
Yes. I will also say we are an affordable community based on, oh my God, some of these mastermind groups are spendy. And we believe in having accessible resources. So, I mean, Tori and I have poured our brain dump knowledge into this course, everything that we've learned over the past, 5 years, and can connect you with more folks who are in our network who are doing really cool things.
Yeah.
Anybody who's been a guest on the podcast is kind of a business friend too. So, it really it works leaps and bounds beyond us as well. So if you haven't taken a chance to look at it, we recommend that you do. And we would love to see you be part of our community in 2025.
Yes, yes. So please reach out, build your community, and we will see you next time.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a good week.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.